Ah, classy. You've got balls hanging from your truck. Hey everybody, what do you think my new camera angle? I only have one camera. I'm not quite at the level of mounting or buying a second camera yet. I'm not sure if I ever will be either, but I thought I mounted it to the underside of my windscreen, and then GoPro has a feature where you can it's hanging upside down, but you can actually flip the view around so it films upside down. So if the camera is upside down, it still looks like it's right side up. So I'm giving that a shot. Hopefully it turns out okay and it's not too shaky. If this angle looks cool, and I hope it does, it means I'm going to have to switch it back and forth from time to time, or eventually bite the bullet and get a second camera. I think I want to up my subscriber rates. Got to at least break 10 subscribers first. I'm on my way. Then maybe I'll consider the investment. Every time I get out for a ride, I'm happy I do it. When I got home from work today, I was feeling pretty lazy. I kind of felt like lounging and not doing much. Kind of took some motivation to get off my ass and get out here and do this. And now that I'm out here, I don't regret it at all. Okay, let's get to the topic of the day. And switch. I hope that sun's not too blinding. It's sun setting, and I hope it's not causing a sun flare or any sort of glare in the camera. I guess we'll find out. I hope not. So I wanted to talk to the people out there that are considering getting into motorcycling, that are on the fence about it for a variety of reasons. And I wanted to bring this topic up early in my vlogging career because I wanted to talk about being a new motorcyclist and some of the fears and worries that I had while they're still fresh in my mind, because it wasn't very long ago when I was new. I've only been biking now for probably 6 months, so I'm still a noob. Some of the worries and fears that I had were what you hear everywhere. Number one, the first and foremost. Well, before I start that, let me say this. If you're thinking about motorcycling, if it's something that you think about, if you're watching this or other vlogs, reading articles, and you're not motorcycling, it means it's probably in your blood. Because some people out there, most people out there, have zero interest in it at all. So the fact that you're watching this, the fact that you're looking at all these videos on YouTube and reading all these articles, etc., means it's in your blood. So it's something that you should at least explore. But there's a nice little RS. So the things, like I said, I started originally thinking about motorcycling in 2009, 2010. And hang on, look like I'm talking to myself. So, and you know, had some personal things that came up that sort of put that on the side. And I kind of forgot about it and didn't think about it for a number of years. Flash forward to 2013, I'm not even sure I remember what triggered it, but for some reason it got in my head again. And I started looking at bikes and started reading about them and started watching videos and all these things, because I think it was in my blood. But you know, it's the usual things that run through your mind. The first and foremost is danger. It is the inherent risk of motorcycling. And I don't deny that there is risk and there is danger. Doing this without question is more dangerous than riding in a car. And no matter how good of a rider you are and how careful you are, you can't control everything, and there are variables, for the most part, other cars that you can't control. And that held me back from doing it for a long time. And that's by far the thing that held me back the longest. And number two, of course, money. It costs money to buy a motorcycle. When you're new and you've never ridden before, insurance for any bike is pretty outrageous, because the company is insuring somebody that has zero experience and has a pretty high likelihood of crashing. And it takes a couple years for those premiums to start dropping, and it is expensive. So, you know, you either have the money or you don't. So I'm not really going to address that. I'm really going to get more into the fear and the worry about getting into it. And hopefully I can quench some of those fears. Like I said, if you're watching this and if you're thinking about motorcycling, it's in your blood, and I encourage everybody to explore it. Because it is awesome. There is no sensation like it. The release, the freedom, the stress reduction, it's awesome. It's just, there's nothing like it. And you can really minimize, like I said, there is inherent danger, but you can minimize the danger. I go on YouTube and I watch these crash compilations, and I look for motorcycle crashes, and I watch them, and I watch these compilations that have been put together. And it's not because I'm some sort of sadistic weirdo and I like seeing people get hurt. I like to watch them to see what percentage of them could have been avoided, what percentage of them are the motorcyclist's fault, and if I can catch what's going wrong. So if I'm in a situation similar to one of those crashes, I can maybe in a split second apply what I've learned. And that's why I watch them. And I will say, you know, I don't know the exact percentage, but 90% plus of the crashes you see are almost always the motorcyclist's fault. He or she is always doing something stupid. They're always taking a risk that was unnecessary. They're always riding at some speed that's unnecessary, or losing their shit on a wheelie, or whatever. It's very rare you see one where somebody just gets blindsided or T-boned and there's nothing they can do about it. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, it does. But I would venture to guess that most of the motorcycle accidents probably could have been avoided. And the people that get really hurt probably could have reduced their injuries by wearing the proper gear. It blows my mind, the videos I see of people squidding and not wearing the gear. And I think in the U.S. people are more lax about it than other countries. I know in Europe they take gear a lot more seriously. They gear up a lot more. And I think it's something that we should do too. So my first recommendation would be, before you do anything, before you buy anything, if you have the inclination to possibly get into a motorcycle, go sign up and take your local chapter's MSF class, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation. As a new person, what you will learn in that class is invaluable. It's 3 days, it's 5 hours in the classroom, 5 hours one day on the bike, and 5 hours the second day on the bike. And at the end of the second day, you take, well, at least in California, I don't know if it's like this in different other states, but you take what would be the exam that you would take at the DMV, and if you pass it, you bypass test at the DMV, which is a nice perk. Again, that's California. I don't know if it's like that in different states. But I learned stuff in that elementary class that I may or may not have figured out on my own without doing it. It's invaluable. It costs, I don't know, 250 bucks? So not a whole lot of money. And when you leave that class, you'll have an idea. You're going to know if you're going to pursue it any further. When I took that class, there was a girl in that class that dropped the bike and crashed twice, going super low speeds, and it completely turned her off. And that's good, you know. She learned that it wasn't for her. And some people were kind of on the fence about it, but me, I had a great time, and I knew I was going to take it further after that class. So take that class, because number one, it'll teach you if you want a motorcycle or not without spending a whole lot of money, in a safe environment, not trying out one of your buddy's leader bikes. They put you on little dual sport 250s in a very controlled environment with trained professionals. And it's not so clinical and boring that you don't get a taste of what it feels like. You'll know, and you'll know at the end if it's something that you want to pursue or not. Ooh, bumpy. So if you do, then pursue it. Get your permit, and then, like I said, if you pass the class, all you got to do is get your permit, and you have your license. It's a big advantage of the MSF class. Now, I'm not going to get into buying your first bike. There's a million videos out there. There's a lot of motovloggers out there that have dozens of motovloggers out there that have already covered this topic. It really is a personal choice. It depends on what kind of riding you're going to do. It depends on how, it depends on how strong you are, your natural hand-eye coordination, your height. There's tons of variables that they get into. But just remember, I don't know the percentages, but probably 90% of the people that buy their first bike don't keep their first bike. So don't worry about being underpowered. You want to learn on something smaller that you know you're going to grow out of. But again, watch all the other motovloggers out there that go into this, read articles, and make the personal choice for you. I talked about why I chose this bike in my first video, again, BMW F800GT, and it made a lot of sense to me for a variety of reasons, and it still does, and I still love the bike. So learn about those. So what I did is when I got this bike, and I bought it about a place from about 50 miles away from where I live, that required me getting on the freeway. I did not ride it home. The guys at BMW of Riverside were nice enough to deliver it to my house in Orange County, which was very kind of them, for free. So kudos to BMW Motorcycles of Riverside. And I live in a little gated community, and I rode around in that gated community inside, not braking about 10, just to adjust to this bike from a little Yamaha Dual Sport 250 I was on. And I was scared to death on this thing. So I did that a couple of times, just pretty much riding around in circles, applying what I learned in that class. And, after a couple of sessions of doing that, I was ready to go out on the road. I got a little bored, I wanted to get up a little speed, and I wanted to get out on the road. So I did, and the first time I went out, it scared the shit out of me. It was truly a frightening experience. It really was. I was going to go down a certain path, I was going to turn left at this one spot, and I was too scared to even change lanes to make the left. I didn't want to take my hand off the bar to turn my turn signal on. I was just too petrified. So the first ride was overall probably not an overly pleasant experience out on a busy street. But then second ride, third ride, it improves. And then, you know, and then something just starts to click. And from there on out, it just gets easier. So that's about it, guys. So explore it. Start with that MSF class if you're on the fence. And that's about all I can say. If you have any questions in particular about gear or you know, your first motorcycle, I'm in no way an expert, but I'd be happy to reply and give my opinion. But I encourage you to do it. It's changed my life. I mean, a year ago, if you would have told me not only am I riding a motorcycle, but I'm also doing a moto vlog and posting on YouTube, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have said, no, I don't think I'm doing that. I don't think that's happening. But here I am. So that's it. CN Cycle, signing out. And lane splitting is legal in California.